Hi, I'm Leo and this is Pulse Geelong. Coming up on tonight's show, Sally meets Australian actor Neil Melville near Apollo Bay, Bethany checks out the Battle of Bannockburn, and country singers The Long and Short of It play for us in the studio. But first, here's Sally with Geelong's own vascular surgeon, Professor David McClure, who's making a big difference in non-invasive surgery.
I'm here today on the waterfront in Geelong at the new rooms of the Geelong Vascular Service, and joining me to talk about it is Professor David McClure. Professor McClure, welcome to Pulse Television.
Thanks, Sally.
Now tell me and the viewers a little bit about vascular surgery.
Well, vascular surgery is that field of surgery that's dedicated to the treatment of patients with artery and vein disease. We would treat an aneurysm in someone's tummy with a little needle puncture wound in each groin, which is quite a lot different to the major cut in the tummy which was undertaken 15 or 20 years ago.
So in terms of recovery times for the aneurysm in the aorta, what are they sort of now opposed to what they used to be?
For the majority of patients, it would take 3 to 6 months before they return to normal work activity. With the minimally invasive approach to aneurysm repair of a patient who's got this bulge here that we call an aneurysm, what we now do is put a needle in the arteries of each groin, feed a wire through the inside of the artery, and over that wire deploy this sort of graft. It's the same graft material, but it's reinforced with self-expanding metal stents. And when it's in place, it springs out into position. It's all held there because of the metal and the graft, and we take the little tubes out of the groin. Now, patients can eat immediately following the surgery. They're walking and they go back to playing golf the next week. The danger of dying from the aneurysm bursting is gone. I was fortunate to work in Perth with a group that designed this particular graft, and that graft is now sold all around the world. In our practice, Sally, about 85% of people would be offered this sort of treatment.
So, Professor McClure, people wanting to come and see you here in Geelong, they obviously need a referral from their GP.
Yeah, that's true if they come to see any specialist in Geelong. I must say, Sally, I think what's really been exciting for me in coming to Geelong is being able to introduce this sort of minimally invasive technology to the Geelong community.
Now, obviously, the surgery has a website that patients can get a little bit of information on. Is that right?
Sure. Our particular service, if you're talking about that, Geelong Vascular Service, does have a website. It's available on the web.
Well, we might go and have a look now at the surgery here in the rooms in Geelong.
To put it in perspective, I suppose, treatment of varicose veins traditionally had been in hospital. If we have a look at this patient here, Sally, you'll see lovely legs, but the patient's a bit disappointed about the appearance of these particular veins here. Now, technically, they are not varicose veins, but they are prominent, what we call reticular veins, and these are the sort of veins that we would treat just with injections. A very fine needles placed in the vein, and we inject a chemical agent which causes inflammation along the wall of the vein to have that vein then shrivel up and disappear beneath the skin surface. That black spot there represents where there's a vein. That this is a very durable result, provides patients with good outcomes, much less invasive and therefore much safer than the surgery in hospital, and that's what I'd recommend to everyone.
Professor McClure, thank you for taking the time to tell us about all the new innovations in vascular surgery.
Thanks, Sally, for your interest too. As you can see, we're really excited about what we can offer in Geelong.
Certainly very exciting.
Next, Sally chats to actor and long-time Otways resident Neil Melville.
Where we are, Sal, is on the site of where Bo and I are going to build our house.
Lovely.
And I'll show you that.
Okay.
This is currently known as Snob Snob.
Snob Snob. Neil, you've been a long-time resident of the Otways.
Yes.
How long have you been here for?
I came here when I was about 12. My mother married into the family, and it was a huge shock for me because I came from Sydney, the heart of Sydney, and I came to this location at that age.
How did your mother, living in Sydney, meet your stepfather living in the middle of the Otways?
That is an extraordinary story, and that is part of a story that I've been working on called The Bent Coin.
Okay.
It's a surreptitious meeting. In the old days when you used to put money in the petrol petrol bowser,
Right.
and it was a stormy, terrible night, and that's where my mother met my stepfather, and it is a true love story. It's a beautiful story.
So we're on your property now, and you're
Yep.
about to show us where yourself and your lovely wife Bo are about to build the dream home.
Yep.
Whereabouts is that? Just,
Should we go walk down and have a look? Come on then.
okay. Follow us. I imagine when the house is complete there'll be no more acting because, quite frankly, why would you want to leave here? Have a look at that view. Are you getting that view, Peter? That is magnificent. So we are in an area of the Otways called Glen Eyre, which is approximately about 30 minutes from Apollo Bay.
Yes, spot on. Yep, it's 35 kilometres.
35 kilometres, and just the beautiful green rolling hills going straight into the ocean.
And when you look back this way, you can see right up onto the ridge at Lavers Hill, and that's the highest point in the Otways. So we get the full gamut, and here we've got a perfect north-south access.
Mhm.
So we've got beautiful sun and spectacular view.
Now tell me, Neil, at the moment you're on television on a Friday night in...
Friday night coming up is Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries.
Mhm.
So I play George Sanderson.
Mhm.
Everyone can work out for themselves what sort of character George Sanderson is, because he reveals quite a bit at the end.
Okay. You always seem to play a character like that. I sort of think if ever I get into trouble, I'll just come and see you because, you know,
I'll fix
a
it.
lawyer or a policeman or someone that
Yeah, well,
can get the job done in the whole of...
I end up being the very ambitious Deputy Commissioner of Police,
Mhm.
Miss Fisher.
Okay.
In my ultimate episode, I am promoted to Commissioner. But whether or not you'd want me to protect you, you'll have to wait and watch the series.
All right. Sounding like you might be a...
You may not
Tad-
think he's just the guy to protect
Okay.
you,
All right.
but I'd like to play him as if he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Neil, for joining us today on Pulse
Thank you,
and
Sally.
showing us around your beautiful property here in the Otways. And for Pulse Television, this is Sally Cannon.